guys! So I know this is so overdue, but I'm finally getting to my post-thyroidectomy video. I had my surgery on December 20th, 2018. It's been about 4 months since I had my surgery. And so yeah, basically where I left off in the last video is that I was going into surgery, not really feeling scared about it, and just like ready to get it out. And not much of that changed going into surgery. So I was surprisingly not scared at all. I just had like so much faith in the Lord that this is where I was supposed to be, and I made the right choice, and it was going to be okay. And so the day of surgery, of course then I started to get a little nervous. I went with my mom, and then my dad came a little bit later because he was working from home that day, so he got a little bit of time off to join us and see me before the surgery started. And so we waited for a while, eventually went back, did some tests, and they finally got me changed and set up to an IV and on an operating table. Not an operating table, the bed that I would stay on until they put me on the operating table. And so then they brought my parents back, and they were like, alright, like you can talk to her for a while, and this is where she's going to be before she goes back. And so I have a lot of stomach issues, so I was feeling very sick to the stomach, and it runs in my family to have a lot of problem with anesthesia, just not being okay with their stomach. I was super nervous about that because I was having throat surgery, and I really didn't want to be sick afterwards because I knew that would be very painful to like have that going on when I knew like I wasn't allowed to cough post-surgery. Like they really wanted you to like protect your throat. So that really was freaking me out. So I was like, I told them like, yeah, I'm feeling nauseous already, but like it runs in my family that we have a lot of issues with this. So they thankfully they took like all the precautions, and they're like, yeah, we're not letting you get sick. So they gave me a medicine, and then they also put this patch behind my ear that they said I would leave on for 3 days. That would prevent me getting nauseous. Which that was awesome. It worked great for me. I didn't feel sick at all like throughout this whole time period. So it definitely worked for me, which I was really lucky. So my parents are back with me, and we're chatting some, and they're like, okay, we're going to start the anesthesia. And then that's when I started to get really nervous because anesthesia has been something I've always been just really scared of. And so I started to freak out a little bit, but my dad had with him, like in his pocket or something, my stuffed animal stress ball. His name's Sherman. I actually don't know where he is right now. Let me find him. This is Sherman. I'm pretty sure I talked about him in another video. I don't really know. I'm sure I did. But this is Sherman. And he's a stuffed animal. That's a stress ball. It's so nice. I use them all finals. Squeeze-a-moles. That's what they are if you need one for yourself. But basically I had him with me because I had my dad bring him because I used him all finals, and I was like, oh my gosh, he helps so much with my anxiety. Like, just in case, bring him. And so they gave me the anesthesia, and I started freaking out a little bit. And they were like, I was like, I need my stress ball, Dad. And oddly enough, as soon as he gave it to me and I started just like squeezing it, it calmed me down a lot for like how worked up I was getting. And then the one anesthesiologist came back, and he was like, alright, like I'm the one that's going to take you in the room. And he was a hoot. He was so funny, cracking jokes, and he was just so great to me. Like he literally was like, what you have there? And I was like, my stress ball stuffed animal. Like this 21-year-old girl, or almost 21, who's acting like a child with her stuffed animal, and he's like, oh, let's bring it back to the operating room. And I'm like, that's definitely not supposed to happen, but okay. And so he was just so funny, and he like brought him back and was like, yeah, I'll hold on to him for you, like da-da-da-da. And he really lightened the mood. So I went back into the operating room, and I will tell you what the doctor said after, because we didn't know at this point, but basically I need a lot of anesthesia to knock me out apparently, because I remember, which I know this is common, like I remember being put on the table, but I guess they were having a hard time knocking me out because they said I should have been asleep, and I wasn't, because I remember them like strapping my legs and arms down, and like I remember a lot. So it took them a long time to get me knocked out, but they finally did, and then I woke up very out of it at first, but very good spirits. By the time I got to the room I was going to stay in overnight, that is where I start really remembering what was happening. I have like a vague memory of before that, but I don't really remember much until then. And so when I got there, my mom told me, do you remember what the doctor said? And I was like, no, like, what do you mean what the doctor said? And then later the doctor did come back, and I asked her to explain it because I'm a very science nerd and I wanted to hear all like the actual things from a doctor. But my mom basically said So my thyroid was double the size it was supposed to be, and they had no idea, and the surgery ended up being like way more difficult than they thought. They had looked at my thyroid through ultrasound, and then also when I went to the doctor, they would feel it. So you should feel it like right in here. And they would do that every time I went to the doctor, and every time be like, it's fine, like it's not enlarged, it's like nothing seems wrong. And then it turns out it was actually growing around my throat. And so it was double the size it was supposed to be, crazy inflamed, I guess with like, I don't know, apparently it was just really ugly is what she said basically. And she was like, thank goodness you chose surgery, because we had no idea. And until she actually got in there and saw, like, we would have not known. And basically they ended up taking out some lymph nodes as well. They didn't really tell me much about that, but they were like, you're fine. We took out some lymph nodes. And yeah, the surgery ended up taking 2.5 hours, and she only booked the room for 2 hours. So, like, they had no idea. But she basically said, you made the right choice. Thank goodness you made this choice. And that was a little scary to hear, because I was like, okay, what if I didn't get surgery? But also was kind of reassuring that, like, yeah, I made the right choice. And, you know, I prayed about it and thought I was making the right choice, and I definitely did. But yeah, I was in good spirits right off the bat. So I basically woke up once I got back to, like, consciousness completely and felt better. It was insane, because yes, I had just undergone surgery. Like, yes, I was in pain, but I felt like I could breathe. And I had no idea that, like, my breathing was so affected by my thyroid until it was gone, because they had checked it and they were like, your thyroid's not enlarged, like it can't be affecting your breathing, it must be like another problem that you always feel like you can't breathe. And I was just like, oh, I'm just out of shape, or like I have allergies. I like didn't know. But I woke up and instantly I could tell it was gone. There was like, I could tell there was a pressure that used to be there that wasn't there anymore, and I felt like I could breathe, which was so nice. The first night my siblings came and visited. I was able to text all my friends, call my grandparents, and I was still feeling pretty well at this point. So I actually had a chicken salad for dinner, dessert and everything. Like, I was feeling very well. Like, I could eat right away, I could drink right away. Swallowing was a little bit difficult because it almost felt like I had to be very gentle. But other than that, it was the pain, and then I felt okay though, like it was manageable. And I've heard with the surgery, it's a very manageable pain, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I agree with that, like I'm nervous. But no, it was so manageable. And then I finally go to sleep, but then probably about midnight, I'm not really exactly sure when, I woke up and my numbing medication must have worn off. Because I was like, I got my mom and I was like, I need medicine now. Because basically they had told me, like, we have medication for you, but you're doing fine and we don't want to give it to you until you need it. So I took that and it definitely helped a lot. But for the rest of the night I couldn't really sleep, kind of in and out of sleep. Honestly, I think the hardest part was me is to have to lay on my back, which I wasn't used to. So that was hard because it just felt so like foreign, and then also the pain, it was just kind of like I couldn't get comfortable and I couldn't really put my head either way. Like I kind of could, but it felt best to keep it just straight. So I was kind of like in and out of sleep, but I was in great spirits. My mom was actually shocked like how happy I was like that night. Like I was cracking jokes and like having a blast. I had to like, basically they had to tell me to shut up and stop laughing because I was hurting myself because I couldn't stop laughing. I was like just so happy. I think it was a mix of the relief and then also just being, I guess, like a happy person and just like, I don't know. I was really surprised myself because I thought that I would be so scared, but I actually was like, just, I don't know. I was so at peace with it. Like, and just knew like God's got my back. Like, here we go. This is gonna make me better. So yeah, I was just at a very nice like peace and like I was happy. Yeah, so life after thyroidectomy surgery, so life without a thyroid, has been pretty good. My body's definitely been adjusting, which I think is definitely normal from some research I've done. It seems like other people go through this, and my doctor didn't seem crazy worried or anything, so I'm sure it's kind of just like minor side effects, but just little things. Like I started getting really bad breakouts on my back, which is something I'd never had before, not even growing up. And so that was just very like confusing, and I'm still kind of figuring out how to like control those. And there's just other things like very intense mood swings. So yeah, I think it's really just my body adjusting, and it definitely seems like something I just need to adjust to and work with it until, you know, things change again. they recently took my blood work because I have been feeling really tired, and just kind of my like secondary follow-up just to see how I've been healing and everything. And they said I was barely in the normal range, so very low and barely in the normal range. So they said because of that they were going to up my dose because I might need more. And from previously, like years past, the only time I had felt truly like good in myself, like the best, was when I was on the higher range of normal. So I feel like I know for each person it's a little different where you feel the best. And so for me, it probably is just a little higher on normal range. And so we're going to continue to monitor it. We're up to this just a tiny bit to see how that affects me. And they're going to retake my blood work in 6 weeks. And so probably for the next year or so, we'll be possibly bouncing it around, checking my blood work pretty often. And then hopefully after that, I only have to get my blood work every 6 weeks or once a year. And for the rest of my life, I'm good. My life in general has been really good post-surgery, just knowing that, you know, I'm not going to have a random relapse here and there. And I don't have the symptoms of Graves' disease really anymore, much at all. And so that has been such a relief and so nice. So the first time I ran, I actually was in gym class a few weeks after surgery, maybe like a month, and I had been healed for exercise. I had been cleared for exercise and everything, so that was fine. But I hadn't actually done any cardio yet. And so it was my first time doing any type of cardio, especially running. And we were running on the treadmill, and I had always had a hard time with running because I like couldn't breathe. And I was blown away. I felt so good. I ran half a mile and I had never felt so good after a workout, and this was just a month after I had surgery. And I was shocked. And yeah, basically I could finally breathe. And it was crazy because I'd always blamed that I was too out of shape or had allergies. I didn't know what to blame because they said my thyroid was fine. And then finally I was like, wow, I can finally breathe. I've never known what this feels like. And that's just been amazing. I've gotten super into weightlifting, and strange, I never thought that I'd be a weightlifter, and I'm definitely still new to it. But that's the newest huge passion of mine. I love it so much. It's so good for my mental health too, to like not be told you can't work out because your health, and just like be able to consistently work out now. Yeah, and just like still hoping to be on the path of one day being a yoga instructor, so just working on that. It's been so much nicer, just feeling so much better. And yeah, things have been really good. So thank you to anyone who thought about me, prayed for me, supported me. I was surrounded by so much support during this time. My family and friends were amazing. I couldn't have asked for more. And just to thank you to them. And if you're someone that wants to talk about this or has questions, please let me know, because like I said in my last video, the biggest thing for me was finding people my age going through this Graves' disease and a similar thing, like deciding between surgery and radioactive iodine or going through surgery. And that was the biggest thing for me, and just making me feel not alone and giving me the courage to be like, yeah, it's okay to go under this surgery because God's there. He's gonna protect me. He's on my side. And also so are all these amazing people that have undergone the same thing. And crazy enough, the nurse that I had also had a thyroidectomy years and years ago. So that was really neat and special. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave a comment, email me, or if you just want to talk about whatever. But yeah, thank you so much if you made it this far. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I'll probably eventually do another update way in the future, just if anything's changed. And yeah, God bless you guys. I hope you are doing great. Thank you so much for watching. Bye! Until next time!